What is up, everybody? I've been in a rut and I have not been making any content at all. My Instagram is bare, my YouTube is bare. I've been barely writing over at F-stoppers. Well, time for that to change. So here I am getting back up on the horse again. And you know what? I wanted to talk a little bit briefly about what brought this on. I think a lot of it was moving to a new place and trying to get my footing and not really feeling like I was producing any kind of work that was worth anything. So as part of that process of digging myself out of that, I tried some different cameras, I tried different gear, total things you should not do at all. Don't ever do this. But I was trying out some rangefinders, I was trying out this and that, the others, some Bronicas, and of course, when it comes back, I come right back to my RZ67. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because I wrote an article about this on F-stoppers just a couple of weeks ago about how tools aren't just tools. So yes, a camera is a tool, but it is also a source of inspiration. And when you have a camera in your hands that really fits you, that really it makes you helps you produce your best work. For better or for worse, maybe it shouldn't be that way. But too often we look at a camera as just a hammer, a wrench, something that gets the job done. And especially if you're new, the temptation is to go out there and buy the latest and greatest stuff because, it's the best at what it does. But you may have an affinity towards something that's a little bit older, something that maybe speaks to you a little bit more. And maybe you'll produce your best work with something that isn't necessarily the new hotness that's on the shelf. So definitely go to used camera stores, check things out, kick the tires a little bit, and you'll be surprised. You might find something that's a little bit older, a little bit cheaper, that speaks to you, that's still perfectly capable of producing some really, really good work in the right hands. Anyway, enough of a rant about that. So as part of my resurgence onto the internet and creating more content, I really wanted to start shooting more C-41 color film and really nailing down my process of it. Not the actual processing of the film itself, but the scanning part of it. And I've done a video before on that, but I found a new program that's been pretty popular in the last year or so called Negative Lab Pro. And it gives really good results. It doesn't really require a DSLR to scan or mirrorless, but you get the best results by doing it that way. But then the reason I'm making this video is because they released their 2.0 version of this software, and it is so much better, not necessarily because of the algorithms and the processing, but it allows you to use raw scans produced by Vuescan on your scanner. And of course, I know the irony of this because I don't particularly like Vuescan. I've even done reviews saying so. But Vuescanner does something that a lot of programs do not, and that is it creates an actual raw file from your scan, not just a flattened out negative, but an actual .dng file. And Negative Lab Pro 2.0 actually has an algorithm in it to read scans specifically from Vuescan and convert those files into usable files for Lightroom. And the conversion is awesome. It's so good. And the reason that I don't like using a DSLR or mirrorless to scan is one, merely a practicality. It's just you need somewhere where you're not having a lot of weird light sources coming in. And the light is uniform coming underneath the negative. And for me, that's just a little bit hard to do. I do have a dark room, but it's really cramped back there, and the last thing I want to do is bring in more apparatus to try and make DSLR scans. So using the scanner that I already have is amazing. And the fact that I can get such good results out of it just with a few clicks, awesome. So I'm going to show you how I do that today. I'm not going to get into the technicalities of Vuescan. I'm just going to tell you the settings that I use and what's been working so far. So check this out. Alright, so here we are in Vuescan, and I just went pretty much with the default settings. Make sure you're in professional mode. Your source is whatever your scanner is. Transparency is the mode that I'm in. Color negative is what I am scanning. I usually use 3200 DPI for medium format. They say that the typical or the actual scanning resolution of a Epson V700 is only about 2400, but there's no selection for 2400, so I'm going to use 3200. Preview auto autofocus preview. I don't mess with any of this stuff, honestly. I don't do multiple exposure. I've heard that it can help the results a little bit as far as just your scans in general, but for me, it's just not worth the time trade-off. It takes a really long time to do, so I don't even mess with it. Output. This is where you're going to get the most important stuff. So here, uncheck TIFF file. Make sure that raw file is checked, and then your DNG format is also checked. That's the most important part right there. Then you're just going to show where the file is going to go and what the file name is. I'll call this number 4 here. Now, if we go over to our previews, you can see the files look pretty green. Don't worry about that, because you're going to be doing an actual raw scan, so it's going to try and get as much information out of this file as it possibly can. So let's go ahead and select the image that we want. We'll go and use this one here, and we'll click scan. Alright, so here we are now in Lightroom. All I did was import that file directly into Lightroom, and as you can see, we have a negative. So what we're going to do on the Mac, this is slightly different. I think you can actually set up a shortcut to your file, to the Negative Lab Pro plugin. But on Windows, you have to manually do it. So you have to go down to Plugin, Extras, Negative Lab Pro. Select that. And here is the fun part. So here there's a selection for DSLR scan, View Scan Raw DNG, and TIFF JPEG scan. And what you want is the View Scan Raw DNG. So select that. You select what kind of what kind of scanner you want to emulate. So you can choose Frontier, Noritsu, or a black and white, or basic. I choose Frontier, not for any particular reason, just because I'm lazy and I don't want to check out the other stuff. The border buffer. Basically what it does is it shrinks the capture area to what it's evaluating so that it doesn't include the outside buffer. I have it set to 10% because there's a pretty good sized buffer here on my selection. So 10% should be fine. And convert negative. It's thinking about it. And there you go. We have a pretty damn good conversion. There really isn't too much else that I would want to do to this file. I mean, it looks really, really natural. In here, I can warm it up a little bit with, it uses something called Auto Color 2.0 for warming. So warm it up just a touch. It's barely noticeable. For the tones, there are all kinds of treatments that you can, try and do here. Linear and gamma looks horrible, so I wouldn't use that right now. All hard, it gives you a contrasty image. Soft, it kind of light, gives you a much more of a less contrasty image. But standard looks really good for me right now. Now, when you try to do more adjustments in Lightroom, you'll find that all of the I'll show you this in a second. I can't go to it right now until I'm out of this. But all of the adjustments are flipped and really, really strange. So you don't want to do that over in Lightroom directly. But you can adjust like the exposure here. It uses brightness, kind of changes the overall exposure here. Contrast is what it says. Lights, darks, whites, blacks. They're very similar to what happens in Lightroom. And here you can actually adjust your colors. I'd say that it's a little bit slow, but so is Lightroom. So what are you going to do? But yeah, overall, you get a really, really good result. And after tweaking it just a little bit more, yeah, I really don't have anything to complain about at all. What I will usually do, or an option that you can do, down here there's this option that says make copy. And so basically you can output a TIFF file directly into Lightroom. I usually add a subfolder of my TIFF files. And you hit apply. And then all of your Lightroom, you'll have to go to the folder where it is, but all of your Lightroom, here we go. So now you can use Lightroom normally without all of the settings getting flipped around and really weird because you're dealing with a negative image. So yeah, I hope that really helps you out. So how is the output from this? Now I used this just the other day on a shoot that I recently did of this dude Cognito, really awesome guy. I'll put a link down to his Instagram. But I just made a print of it. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it's awesome. I mean, like, I have no qualms with it whatsoever. The color that's coming out of it is fantastic. It's natural. It looks great as anything that I've produced with C-41. So definitely check it out if you get a chance. Negative Lab Pro 2.0, I believe they have a trial available. It's, I think you get 12 negatives to convert for free just to check it out. And then if you want to purchase it, I think it's $99, but well worth the money. Quickest conversion software that I've used and pretty consistent. I mean, no matter what you use, you're going to need to tweak it after the fact just a little bit, but, and that's not even just the plain conversion, but it's just your taste. Like, you know, what do you like? Do you like a little more saturation? Do you like a little bit of a color cast? Do you like a little bit of a color cast? No color cast? Whatever. It's all about you. Like, what do you like? Bang for your buck. I think there's no better way out there right now to get such a quick conversion of your files. Negative Lab Pro 2.0 and Vuescan. You do need Vuescan to do this. It's not going to work out as well with other scanners. If you buy Vuescan for nothing else but this, I think it's worth it just because the output is so good. Anyway, y'all have a great day. I hope to get on the horse, get more content out there, and I have a few ideas coming, but let me know if there's anything that you all want to see, but we'll talk to you later.